Welcome back to Dear Divorce Diary. I'm Joplin Higgins and I'm joined here with the wonderful Darren Mort, family law barrister.
Hi, Jop, and you're a solicitor, aren't you?
Yes, that's right. I forgot about little old me.
Little old you, yeah.
So this podcast really is just to help people manoeuvre practically through the family law space, right?
Absolutely, yep.
Yeah, so we've been getting some good feedback from people who have been
incredible.
Liking, sharing, following us on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube.
Facebook.
Oh, you name it. We're there.
Yeah, so thanks a lot, viewers. It's been fantastic. But, you know, we really care about you guys, and we're hoping that the information that we actually can set out in these podcasts that we're talking about can actually help you navigate the process, because a lot of people, it's for the first time, Job.
Yeah, that's right. So it's a learning process, but you don't want to make too many mistakes on your learning process.
That's
you don't want to make any mistakes.
So we said we've received all these questions, which have been, thank you, it's been fantastic. But we've got to be very careful because of the publication laws in the family court that number one, we don't answer your questions specifically or mention names or names of kids, but we actually deal with matters thematically. And that's what we've been intending to do. So, because it's very important that we maintain some confidentiality. But on that basis, don't stop sending us in the questions that you're sending in, because they're fantastic. And if they're concerning you, no doubt they're concerning your friends and family.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Yeah. So our topic today was going to be, what are the rights of grandparents? Because there's been a few grandparents that have
a lot.
That have sent in, what can I be? We're almost like Dear Fiona, in the 80s.
Really?
Do you remember
I wasn't born
Fiona?
then, Job.
You were just a twinkle in your mum's eye.
Yeah, I wish.
One of the things that people get mistaken with is that, well, grandparents have no right because they're not the parents, and that's just not correct.
Well, technically it is, in the sense that parents and grandparents and third parties who are vying for residence or custody, none of them have rights.
That's exactly right, because all
the
the rights belong to the children.
Yeah, bingo.
Yeah.
So, so a lot of people use that term loosely, but they've got to understand they have no rights, zip. But, as judges will remind you, they have responsibilities.
That's right.
Yeah.
And so how would a grandparent go if their child and the partner has separated and it's acrimonious and they've had a really great relationship with their grandchildren, and then it's just severed? What happens?
Well, what happens? Every case is unique, of course, depends on the age of the kids and all that. But I often feel sorry for grandparents because they're often sidelined, and to some degree there's an expectation that they just tack on to the contact parent's time with the child.
Yeah, that's exactly what happens.
And that doesn't always fit, does it?
No, it doesn't. Particularly now where both parents are working in most families, and retired grandparents take on such a huge care of the grandchildren, don't they?
Oh, God, yeah.
They really are an unpaid workforce.
They are, yeah.
And they contribute to the family home.
Yeah. So I had a case the other week where the grandparents were exactly like you said. They looked after the kids. This is their father's parents. And when they separated, the mother decided to put the kids into after-school care instead of utilising the grandparents that were used to doing that till she got home from work. And it really irks me because there's a viable option. There's some stability for the kids. The grandparents get to spend time. They get to spend time with their loving grandparents.
In the paternal or maternal home.
Yeah, and I don't understand parents that don't prioritise that relationship, even if they're split up, depending on family violence, of course. But even if they split up from their partner, why don't they still use the grandparents as a viable option?
Yeah, because it's severing that relationship, which is often really harmful to children, particularly when the grandparents have had so much time with the kids.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Because you see too that some grandparents bring their own applications, don't they?
And I think that's what our viewers were wanting to know about.
Yeah.
Well, am I allowed to? Can I make an application? What's my likelihood of success, because this is not a cheap option? Am I going to end up with any substantial time? So take it away, Daz.
Take it away. Well, I often find, and look, it depends on the case, but I often find grandparents can walk away with dedicated time, once a month, once every 6 weeks. It depends on the circumstances. But even if it's for a day or maybe a sleepover in some cases, particularly where there's a tyranny of distance between the parents and or that parent who's got custody and the grandparents, I often find courts are prepared to do that.
Oh, absolutely.
Because it enriches the tapestry of that particular child, doesn't it?
Yeah. And I think that grandparents don't want to rock the boat, and that's why we don't see an enormous amount of applications from grandparents. But you do see these grandparents that are heavily involved in the kid's life, and then that's taken away. And so grandparents absolutely should consider making applications to the court in this special circumstances, and really thinking about what time they would be seeking, because as we said moments ago, they're picking kids up from school. They're doing all of those tasks. Well, if they're not doing it, and just because mum and dad have separated, then who takes it on? What, an oosh or a daycare or?
It doesn't make sense, does it? And the other thing too is that when the kids are at school, of course, grandparents rock up to theatre nights and Grandparents' Day and all that sort of stuff. Why deprive children of that opportunity to have that time with their loving grandparents? I don't understand.
I think more grandparents and the parents should attend mediation.
That's a good point.
And you have to attend mediation before you just can commence proceedings. But I think it should, if the writing is on the wall that a relationship is going to be taken away, I think grandparents need to be very, very proactive and get in and start the dialogue with the other parent about, okay, well, I know that this has happened in the relationship, but Bob and I are good grandparents, and we've always maintained a good relationship with you, and we're not picking sides.
Yep.
We just want a relationship with our grandparents. So with our grandchildren, sorry. And so I think that they need to take steps, and I think they should take steps early.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I'm over payback. I hate him. I'll just use the wife as an example. I hate him because he did the dirty on me and he's had an affair, or he's done this or he's done that. So why should his parents have time? And I think, unfortunately, for some people, when they're in that situation of anger and grief, that they don't prioritise how things look from the child's point of view.
Yeah.
And how the child might be missing their grandparents, how the child might be thinking, I'm blaming myself that I don't see grandma and grandpa anymore because I'm the one that caused mum and dad to break up, and therefore grandpa and grandma don't see me anymore.
Yeah.
And I think that's a real shame, because I don't know about, I'll be interested to hear your comments on it, but I often thought growing up that my grandparents were like social workers who actually understood my parents' dysfunctionalities.
Yeah.
Because
they raised them.
Because they raised them, exactly.
Yeah.
So they know all their foibles, their Achilles heels.
Yeah, that's right.
And they can help you understand why their parents are like that. Do you reckon that's right?
Yeah, I think you're spot on. I just reflect on all the kids that I've acted for over the years, and I always talk to the children in regards to the maternal side of the family, the paternal. I talk to them about what their relationship's like with grandma and grandpa, tell me about them. And most kids speak really highly of their grandparents. And, well, Pop does this with us and Nan, does that with us. And then we go here and we only see Mum and Dad's dad on school holidays because, they're on a farm somewhere, and we go out there and we ride the motorbikes.
Yeah.
And so it's really important to think about what it looks like when you're making tough decisions based on hurt. So grandparents, I think, are really important, and all the kids that I've spoken to, the majority of them have really loving relationship with their grandparents.
Yeah, and I get a lot of times grandmas who cook with their grandkids.
Oh gosh,
You know,
yeah.
I miss my grandma's apple pie.
Oh man, I'm so lucky because I had the most wonderful grandmother, and I named my daughter after my grandmother.
Oh, really? I
Because,
didn't know that.
I loved my paternal side, and and my maternal grandmother was beautiful as well. But I had a real affection towards my grandmother, and she's passed, and it was the saddest day of my life.
Was it?
And it really, really was. And she lived in America, and because my dad's American, so of course I didn't see her all the time. So that tells you the type of bond that we had. And she was such an important person in my life. She used to write to me, and on the blue paper, and those sorts of things. So grandparents, you don't have to see you every day for them to be important, because we've said that they pick up the pieces, but they can be just as important when they're a long distance away. And
you just reminded me with that, which was a lovely story, that primary carers can also facilitate that relationship between grandparents. I mean, these days we have voice, video, telephone calls and things like that, which is fantastic, but also do things practical with the kids, like writing out cards or sending a bit of artwork to grandma and grandpa.
That's right.
And that sends a message to the kid that mum, I will use mum in this example, as a primary carer, thinks grandma and grandpa are important
That's
people.
right, yeah.
And so it works both ways, doesn't it?
Yeah, that's...
or even sending some pictures to grandparents in relation to what mum and the kids have been doing,
And the other thing for grandparents is stay out of it. Don't meddle in it. You've got one side of the story, which is usually your child's side of the story. You don't need to be involved in it. There's actually nothing that you can do to repair it, facilitate anything. You need to stay out of it. You need to be a neutral base for both parents to ensure that you have the relationship with your kids.
Absolutely. And I think we touched on it at the start of this episode, but mediation is a really good thing. And far less people, grandparents, use mediation than should, because we often just see the parents or step-parents, but grandparents should get involved in that. And usually they get involved before proceedings are initiated in the court. And it's really, really important, because mediation is a great tool where the stakes aren't as high as when you're before a court, and you've got control over outcome.
Oh, absolutely. And once you file in court, the relationship's done, right? Like if you're a grandparent and against the primary carer, if they're not facilitating, nothing good comes from that. So mediation is a very important tool in all family law matters.
I had a case the other day where the father brought an application to have the mother, or have the children rather, attend at his mother's funeral, so the grandmother's funeral, and the mother responded by saying that she wouldn't allow the child to attend at his grandmother's funeral, which was such a shame. They were culturally Greek people, and this grandma was just, according to my client, was just the most wonderful grandmother to this particular child. But the mother, in that case, decided that the funeral wasn't a good option for the child. I think the child was 10, which, honestly. But she also, it seemed quite clear it was out of spite. Now, that is a moment in time. But when that little boy reaches, older, when he's 18 and that, he will look back at the fact that his mum didn't allow him to attend the funeral of his grandma, whom he loved dearly.
Yeah.
And that's the problem. People don't look into the distance,
No,
do
they
they?
don't see the forest for the trees.
Exactly.
And when you're in family law, you have to.
Yeah.
You can't just look at today. You have to be looking at what does this look like in 5 minutes, 5 years, 15 years' time.
That's right.
How does this translate?
Exactly.
Yeah.
We have to look to the road ahead.
Yeah, absolutely.
And stop looking in that rear vision mirror and judge and having a look at the history, because although the history of relationships informs us, we're more interested prospectively in terms of how that road ahead is going to affect the children in terms of what we do. So that's right, isn't it? That was really interesting. I hope the viewers find that interesting. As we've said before, you can find us on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, YouTube. We'll have this full episode which links back. And please keep the questions rolling in. As I said, as Jop and I have said, we'll deal with them on a theme basis, but they're relevant. There's a number of themes people are questioning us about. So obviously they're concerns that hit home with yourselves and your family and friends and people you know. So yeah, don't hesitate in contacting us via those platforms, and we'll address those concerns of yours as best we can with the information that we have to hand. Yeah.
Thanks, Daz. Great episode.
Thank you, Job. Always a pleasure. And we'll see you next time.
Thank you.